everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nicole and today we are going over what happens when your new build home is going up, everything's getting built. It is so exciting and you're able to visit, you look around and some things that you know that you've picked out in the design center are just not quite looking right. So basically, what do you do and how do you handle it when things that you know you have picked out aren't matching up or when things go wrong? Unfortunately, I have a couple issues that we either have already dealt with or are in the middle of dealing with right now. So I'm hoping that by kind of sharing my process for one, catching it early, and two, working through kind of how to handle the situation, that can help you out if you are either in the process of building right now or are looking to build sometime soon in the future. Definitely learn from my mistakes and from what I'm going through right now. If that sounds good, go ahead, give this video a like, keep on watching. Let's dive right in. So obviously there are so many things that can go wrong. I mean, anything from maybe your house is taking a good 10 months longer to build than normal, and that means that you have to stay in somewhere you're renting. You've had to go month to month, and hey, maybe they're trying to increase your rent by about $1,000 in the past 7 months. Or maybe it's when, by the time you were supposed to have moved in, your mortgage interest rate would have started with a 2, and now it will start with a 4. So obviously, there are much more dire situations than there could be, but we are strictly talking design center choices and a little bit of the outside of the house as well. But my first advice here is to really know absolutely everything that you signed up for. There is going to be so much paperwork. You are going to be putting your signature on a lot of things. And if you're like me, you've gone back to the design center a couple times, there are a lot of addenda that you have already gone through, re-signed, things that have changed a couple of times, and that can get a little bit confusing. So part of me really understands why some of these mistakes are made and are possible. Part of me is like, you know what? I am paying a lot of very good money for something like this to be taken care of and handled, so I can see both sides of it, but also we're spending a lot of money here, and that's something that if you're building, buying a house is not cheap, building a house is not cheap, so it's something that we probably would expect to be handled correctly every single time. However, human error is always something that's going to be there, and to be as prepared as possible, make sure you know your paperwork front and back. So when we went to our design center appointment the first time, we were going to go back 2 weeks later to settle all of our choices. And from that point, I really made sure to, again, go through everything line by line and make sure that what we had said is what we really wanted to get. Now, obviously that changed, and I'll go ahead and link some videos that show all of that kind of learning curve process, but that gives me a really good idea of what all is going into the home. Now, as the design center visits kind of kept going, and again, a lot of the paperwork started to pile up with all of the changes that were being made, going back line by line, making sure that I had pictures of everything that I had chosen, making sure that I had the names for everything to really compare and contrast our initial paperwork versus what I wanted now, showing what we were changing. Now going line by line over pages and pages of kind of, serial numbers and all of these colors that maybe you might not know because they're very specific to that brand, it can get a little bit tedious. It is definitely time consuming, but it was so needed. I caught errors on, I believe, every single addendum that came our way. And again, I understand the frustration there. I've certainly felt the frustration there. It's not something that you really think that you have to go through line by line, but I highly suggest that you do, just to make sure that you are getting everything that you asked for right now. So for example, when I changed over some of the tile selections, they switched the tile color, but they didn't switch the grout. So I had to go back. Luckily, I had pictures of the names of which grout was supposed to go with which tile, just so it didn't look too off. I ended up doing a lot of research to see kind of what the shades and tones and all of that of the grout were, to see if it would be okay with the tile. And I had to go back a couple of times to make sure that in every single place it had changed over to the grout that was supposed to go with that lighter shade of tile. So initially you can see here that we had that kind of dark gray, and instead we're going for that nice light creamy beige. So obviously having that kind of darker gray grout, not something we were really looking for here. Same thing with the stain on the stairs, that kind of kept coming through as other pieces in the addendum were updated. That stair stain was not, and I really wanted to make sure that the nice light wood floors that we were getting now we're not going to have this very dark gray brown staircase. So this comes to my next point. Be persistent with your changes. Now that you've understood exactly everything that's going on in that paperwork, make sure that you are staying on top of getting those changes done. Basically, don't be afraid to go back and say, hey, page 2, this section, I need this to say that instead. Now what that does, obviously, is going to have a lot more back and forth. It does hold off on the ratifying of that contract addendum, but do not sign anything that is not what you're looking for. If you've gone through and you've found those errors, make sure that every single one of them is checked off and corrected before you put your name on it. So going over a couple of the issues that I've had, obviously I just mentioned the whole tile grout situation. I've also gone over the pendant light issue, so I'll leave a link to that video up here. Now that is getting corrected. It looks so much better right now, and I'm very happy with the job that they've done here. But this kind of light placement where it's not your normal already where all the can lights are going kind of placement seems to be an issue across a couple of different builders. So for example, my sister-in-law just closed on her house yesterday and we are so excited for her. But I remember going through a couple of the walkthroughs, and the living room, dining room, kitchen, open concept kind of all flows together. And she had an additional light fixture placement in the dining room, so above the dining table, and in the living room. Now, for us, it seemed very logical that we would want that pendant or chandelier structure to be centered above where a dining table would be in that space. And same thing, it would be centered in the living room. Now again, I don't know if this has to do with maybe it needs to be along a stud, if they can use the brackets, if it is easy to move these, but they weren't exactly in the places that, again, to me, it would seem like the obvious choices. So always make sure for these lights that are not kind of pre-made with the house, double check those placements, make sure it is what you're looking for. Another issue that I caught pretty early on was the microwave choice. We had picked out our appliance package and we knew what it is that we were looking for there. We spoke with the person at the design center and all of the kind of sketches, which you can't go by the sketches. So always make sure that everything kind of in the sketch is really reflected clearly in that paperwork. But we thought we were getting one type of microwave, and when I was going through when I got home, I went serial number by serial number to pull up all the appliances, and the microwave did not look like it matched. Now I brought this up in January of 2021, and I was assured then that no, this is what you had asked for, or this is the standard that kind of comes with it, and you have nothing to worry about. Still kind of bothered me. We took a couple more months and I asked again, I don't think this is correct. When I pull up this serial number, I'm seeing this and it's not what we spoke about. It's not what we thought we were getting, and it's not kind of what was in the sketches that we were seeing here. I was again assured that this is what we're looking for. It has the whole like face kit thing so that it was going to look built in. And that's where it really started to register that that's not what it was we were looking for. So speaking with my builder, he assured me that this was what we saw in the model at the place about an hour away from us. And I realized that we didn't really look at the appliances there. We looked at the ones from the model here, which was a little bit different. So he was very quick to get pictures from the person staying there at that model to send over. And sure enough, it is not what it was that we thought we were getting, because we had mentioned we wanted the ones from the model here. So I guess the moral of this is when you're doing those gut checks and you're looking at something and you just know that it is incorrect, stay on it. It took a good 7 months to get that corrected. We finally did. It is actually in the home now, and it looks so much better. It makes me so happy that we actually got the one that, again, we kind of thought we were getting all along, but now it is all cleared up, and again, it's in the house, so it's definitely correct now. One other piece, this is kind of moving to the outside. When we started getting all of our siding put up, looking at the selections we had made for the outside of the house, there was starting to be a little bit of siding on the front of the garage. Now, I was almost 100% certain this isn't one that I had poured over like I did for the design center, but I was pretty sure that we had the stone veneer on the full face of the garage. Going back through all the paperwork, it is a little bit difficult because it just kind of has the elevation style there, and we don't know exactly what that means. So I had to go back through a lot more paperwork, and it was looking like I was correct. We had the stone veneer, but another place that I looked just to verify in case this siding started to go up and I needed to go back to correct that You will be shocked at the amount of information that is public record that you can just pull up online on your home, on my home, on pretty much anybody's home. So while it's kind of weird to see that all pulled up, I was able to find, it's like 60 some pages of every single piece of the house that's getting built. So here you can see where things have been crossed out, so you know exactly what the county has as public record for being built. And luckily I was able to find the garage here, and we did get the stone veneer. So it took a couple more days. That little piece of siding was finally taken down. The entire stone veneer front is up now, so kind of didn't have to worry about that too much. I got a little bit concerned, but waiting worked out just okay. Again, I made sure that everything in my paperwork matched up to what the county had, and everything was good to go from there. On to our current situation. So we have two different cabinet colors in our kitchen and butler's pantry. We have the whites on all the uppers and lowers. The center island, initially, we had picked that really dark gray. And then back in July, I had switched that out to a lighter gray. It just felt like the dark one was going to be a little bit too heavy. Now, obviously, it does provide much more contrast, but just realizing that I wanted it lighter and brighter all around. So we got that addendum. Again, this one I had to go back and forth with the grout and tile, but everything was laid out very clearly with the change from the color boulder for the Timberlake cabinets to the color stone. Kitchen cabinets went in a bit ago and all of those looked good. When I was looking around initially, there were white cabinets for the lowers of the butler's pantry. Now they were off to the side, they were never installed, and then one day they disappeared. So, okay, they figured it out, everything's fine. They mentioned in one of their updates that they had ordered the correct cabinets and they were on their way. I actually drove by at one point when the cabinets were getting dropped off, and such a relief that everything was going to be done. The next time I was able to go to the house, there are dark gray cabinets in the lowers for the butler's pantry. So now there are 3 different cabinet colors, which part of me thinks, I feel like this should have tipped somebody off that these were so different from everything else, but it's obviously not their call to make, you know, taste and design choices. So reached out, said, hey, these look suspiciously like our initial pick of boulder. Everything was supposed to be switched to stone. Can we just double check that color? Because I don't want anything moving forward with the incorrect cabinets. Basically, it's going to be so much more difficult if they start putting, you know, the countertop on, if they start the backsplash. Having to rip all that out is just going to cause more issues, more time-consuming labor later. Now, unfortunately, the response I got back was that the paperwork that they saw said that what they had was correct. I was a little bit angry. So this is where, going back to that first comment of know what you got like the back of your hand. So pulled everything back out, made sure that I knew exactly what was laid out and where it was. So I sent that ratified addendum back over. As you can see here, we changed this to stone. Please verify. Now things have been a little bit quiet. That was 2 days ago now. I'll be reaching back out, but I will let you know what happens there. But again, this is something that it is in my paperwork. It was signed by us. It was countersigned by the builder. So I am getting the cabinets that I requested. It just might take a little bit longer. My concern is obviously I don't want this to cut into our move-in. I don't find that to be entirely acceptable as a reason for us not to move in, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what they get back with. Cabinets have been taking quite a long time, so I'll keep you posted. And all of this is another example of why it is so important that if you can, if you are in the area, try to see the process as you go. Take pictures, take video, visit as often as you can to make sure that everything that's going in is what it is you requested. Another piece that I caught, we had initially put Listello in all the bathrooms. I realized that I hate Listello, so while we went out of our way before to get that put in, I wanted none of it anywhere. It did start going into some of the bathrooms. Again, reached out, attached the addendum, showed, hey, Listello is removed from all bathrooms. Can you please confirm? The next day they had already corrected. I was able to catch before they started grouting anything, so it had just been placed. So anytime, again, that you can go through and catch these things earlier, it will make it a little bit easier for that correction. Now, if you are not there, if you are building in another state, if you can't make it, ask for pictures, ask for video, ask for specific pictures. So if you change the grout and you really want to make sure and they are only taking a picture of the bathroom in its entirety, I would just ask for a very specific, can you zoom in on the tile and grout choices, just to kind of ease your mind there a little bit. So getting that house built is obviously already an exciting and stressful time. This does add a little bit more work on your end, but when it comes to these things, I feel like it is so much better to know them as we're going and get them corrected, and again, have all of that paperwork that you have taken care of to kind of send as backup, rather than you're at your final walkthrough and your cabinets are the wrong color, your grout and tiles are incorrect, there's Listello in your bathrooms where there shouldn't be, the lighting fixtures aren't in the right places. That would be much worse. So do what you can, learn everything that you can along the way, and having that open communication with your builder, with the superintendent, or whoever it is actually on site, that is going to make the process much more smooth than if you waited until the end and everything was kind of a surprise. If you have run into any issues that maybe I didn't bring up here, I would love to hear that in the comments below, maybe help somebody else who's in your same situation. So definitely let me know there. I hope this was helpful, and for the most part, I hope that you don't have to deal with any of this. But if it does come up, this is kind of how everything's working for us right now. Hopefully that is something that's useful for you. If you did find this helpful, go ahead, give this video a like. Don't forget to subscribe. I'd love for you to stick around. Otherwise, I can't wait to see you in the next video. Until next time, bye.